Let's take a look at some information and charts on Sushiswap for Brave New Coin. So Sushi is a DEX with AMM style yield farming activity and whatnot. It's essentially a clone of Uniswap, which for maybe moral reasons isn't your cup of tea, but hey, that's open source software for you. So a lot of it looks pretty close to Uniswap. I think most people realize that at this point. But the functionality's the same. All these DEXs are variations on a theme. Essentially, they're very, very similar. Liquidity has continued to rise on Sushi. Volume, though, trading volume, has stagnated and declined slightly recently. The reward setup is a little different than Uni as far as the yields and how the token works and the tokenomics. It's all slightly different than Uni or all the other exchanges, but essentially it's effectively the same on how it looks and feels. So if we look at DEXs collectively, last 24 hours, volume-wise, Uniswap in the pink, Sushi in the purple here. So Sushi is about a third of Uni's volume, and it's definitely number 2 as far as DEX Ag is concerned. So it's waiting in the wings for any Uniswap failure, certainly. Now Uniswap released version 3, put on a little legal clause preventing Sushi from just stealing it immediately. I expect Sushi to implement Uni's version 3 eventually. I don't think whatever Uni did is going to stop the anonymous team from basically stealing Uni's work, right? Like, I don't think it really matters to them in the slightest. Volume per day, if we look at Sushi in the yellow here, clearly Uni's the winner, and Curve has been growing in the brown here as far as volumes are concerned. But Sushi's been there the whole time. It's not really going anywhere anytime soon by the looks of it. And then by month, Sushi in the turquoise here. They've had their good months and their bad months depending on pooling and how the DEX Ag treats them and rewards, and there's some variables here, but they're not really close to overtaking Uniswap anytime soon by the looks of it. If we look at Sushi's TVL on DeFi Pulse, it's around 4.2 billion, which is nearing an all-time high around 5 billion. So it's hard to be mega bearish on the exchange or the token when TVL basically is sitting at or near all-time highs. And if we just compare that to DeBank has it at 4.5 TVL. And again, over the past year, just up. That's what you want to see. Trading volumes, though, like I was saying on the Sushi version of this, have come off, which isn't what you want to see for an exchange. You want to see trading dominance continue. Transactions have kind of fallen off, flailed in the wind a little bit, and users flat, slightly rising maybe a little bit over the past few weeks, but overall nothing screaming that more people are onboarding to Sushi over Uni. If we look at the on-chain stats for the token itself, now, as with all these governance tokens, there isn't really a reason for most people to move these around too often. So you're not going to see vibrant on-chain stats like you do for some of these other tokens. This was the initial airdrop here, September 2020. And if we zoom in, transactions per day haven't really picked up, fallen off. They haven't really done much of anything. They're just kind of flat, kind of what you'd expect anyway from these type of tokens. Transaction value is also flat. So transactions are down as ETH fees are increasing. Transaction values are rising slightly as ETH fees are increasing. Just all things you'd expect to see. Active addresses in the fill here have also just held flat. You kind of have to throw away the initial active addresses because that was the airdrop. And if we average that out, again, there's nothing too exciting here. I look at these because I can, not really because they're super useful for all of these governance tokens. NVT has continued to rise, inverse metric of on-chain activity, utility versus market cap. So if this is rising, it says price is overbought based on on-chain activity. But the real question is, should we be using NVT at all for stuff like this? Probably not. So again, I just look at it because I can, not necessarily because it's super valuable. So not too exciting on the on-chain metrics. Google trends, though, look great for Sushi, honestly. They've continued to hold at whatever these highs are for 2021. You can see how things picked up, how things were zero before it existed. So that gives me confidence that this is actually Sushi. If we compare that to Uni, though, again, you sort of have to do these head-to-head comparisons because it shows where where the attention's at, right? See if we can zoom in. Yeah, I mean, Sushi, it doesn't look like it's winning any awards anytime soon against Uni. You know, it exists. It's a bit fringe for the general public, probably. Uniswap's existed as an exchange much longer than Sushi has. So all that is important to keep in mind when you're talking about token price and token price expectations. Now, they do have different tokenomics than Uni as far as not having a presale or inflation, whatever. You know, it's important to know that stuff maybe over the long period of time. I think it's too early to really take that much into account at this point in time. But if we look at the trend metrics on the 6 hour, it was sort of riding this channel that it fell out of, had another sort of channel that it's falling up from. So I think at this point, trend metrics are favorable enough for bullish continuation that I like an all-time high retest. I like 30, 50, somewhere in there if things get really wild. But it looks as though in the near term, the bull trend wants to kick off once again. This is the 6 hour, but you can move up and down the time frames and just look. There isn't a lot of data to look at, so you have to do what makes sense. On the 6 hour cloud, it's inside of the cloud, you know, much like the MAs are about to cross, it's getting sort of telling you that it's starting to look like this. You know, there's a potential for this extended bullish trend. Sushi was really good in that it kind of went slow rather than quickly. It didn't really have a parabolic up move. It just kind of had a range that just held higher and higher and higher over time. And that's ideally what you want to see in any trend, just a slow rise. I mean, the cloud picture here is perfect. Thin cloud, plenty of opportunities to get in on the Kijun. So all of this collectively gives me comfort at this 6 hour bullish Kumo breakout that's pending. So it should provide a decent long entry signal. And if we zoom way out, go to the 12 hour, 12 hour is also reset completely and looks like it's ready to go again as far as a bullish Kumo breakout. So that looks good. And if we look at the daily using slightly different MAs, faster MAs, and the alligator fractal system, these are also flipping bullish. We're breaking above bull fractals. So collectively, everything is telling me on trend metrics, on all sorts of time frames, that this looks like it's getting ready for another nice bullish rally. Even the Sushi BTC pair looks like it's bottomed on the alligator fractal on these quick MAs on the daily. You can see how that looked previously, how these act as trailing stop losses on the way up. And you're finally out from here if you're using this as a trailing stop loss. And this is your bull entry down here. So very similar to this area in early January, you're getting this bullish flip on these metrics once again. 12 hour Sushi BTC cloud hasn't quite risen above anything just yet. So more of a wait and see than the USD pair on this time frame. But you know, overall things are looking up for Sushi. Even when I look at the Sushi ETH pair, it had this pretty decent bull div on the 12 hour. It looks like it's ready for mean reversion at least to 0.1 on the Sushi ETH pair, which may not be directly available, but people are subconsciously trading it anyway. So overall, Sushi is a Uni clone. It's just another DEX in the AMM machinery. It offers slightly different pools than Uni, more pairs than Uni. If ETH fees remain high, stuff like ETH DEXs are going to suffer. On-chain metrics are weak. Trading volumes are weak, even though TVL keeps rising. So there's a bit of a divergence there as far as people love to pool and love to yield farm on Uni. Not so much trade on Uni or on Sushi. Sorry, I keep confusing the two. Maybe if they both didn't end in I, and if they both weren't food, it would be harder to confuse them. Technicals for the USD and BTC pairs look like they're ready to flip bullish again. And the ETH pair as well looks like it has bottomed. And lastly, if you want to check out our managed DeFi portfolio on Enzyme Finance, we also have an ETH BTC portfolio. But I just begun to allocate the AUM last night, and you can see what this will look like potentially over time as far as allocations, trades, what I do and when. So that's all for this one. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Let me know what you think about the Uni versus Sushi debate in the comments below, and happy trading.